You are listening to the Delay and Pray podcast, episode number 133.
Welcome to the Delay and Pray podcast, where certified Catholic and weight loss coach Beth teaches you how to permanently lose weight through spiritual fasting. Get ready to gain faith and lose weight through a joyful transformation of both body and soul. Now, your host, Beth, the Catholic fasting coach.
Welcome back to the podcast this week, everyone. We continue to work our way through my book, Delay and Pray, chapter by chapter. And today we're covering chapter 4, and we're diving into the power of belief, specifically how believing harder than you work can change everything in your fasting journey. And this is not only true for your fasting journey, but it's actually true for everything. As we know, what we believe is what happens in our lives. So we have to really work on that. And belief is really a spiritual endeavor. While carrying our burdens, we really must believe in joyful expectation that Jesus will come to our aid. While recording this is the year of hope. And you know what hope is? Hope is bold confidence in God's aid. So when we hope and when we believe, we just expect that God is going to come to our aid, and that makes life a lot better. It's the key to success in any situation, but especially in our health and our wellness. So in our Delay and Pray group coaching experience, we often coach around the scriptures surrounding Mary and Martha because we are very busy women. And Mary and Martha seems to be a great analogy for our story. So this beautiful tale told by St. Luke and St. John is really the story of all of us. It encapsulates the essence of belief, I think, not just in ourselves, but in the miracles that Jesus wants to work within us and through us if we believe. The story begins at the house of Mary and Martha, you probably know, in the village of Bethany, a small town in Judea about 2 miles east of Jerusalem and south of the Mount of Olives. The sisters are described as being close friends with Jesus and entertaining him for dinner. So, if we think about it, when we stop by in the scriptures, Jesus is there, isn't he? Mary is at his feet listening to him speak, and Martha is in a flurry of hospitality, getting dinner ready to feed, I'm sure, a bunch of people. Now, recounting the living words from Luke, chapter 10, 38, 42, frustrated Martha cries out to the Lord, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me by myself to do the serving? Tell her to help me." Well, and the Lord said to her in reply, "Martha, Martha, you are anxious and worried about many things. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, and it will not be taken from her." How many times have I been Martha, screaming at the Lord, "Help me, help me. Do you not know that I have something to do, Lord? Can't you help me?" Okay, and what does he reply? Every single time he replies, "Beth, Beth, you are anxious and worried about many things. There is need of only one thing. And Mary has chosen the better part, and it will not be taken from her." In other words, it's best to have the disposition of being at my feet and believing in me, having hope that I will come to your aid. So, as we know, Martha is not exactly practicing joyful expectation here. She is self-reliant and so focused on hospitality, on doing, that she forgets to consider that peaceful power of Jesus sitting right there in front of her. Jesus describes her as worried and upset about many things, neglecting the one thing that is needed, which is him, and belief in what he really can do. And I was thinking about this especially over Advent last year, when I was really going crazy with the last minute gift shopping and decorating and cooking and all of that. I would just say to myself, "Martha, Martha, you are anxious and worried about many things. There's need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, and it will not be taken from her." And immediately I had peace because it is the living word. And I've had to do that a lot lately. I've had to do that several times in my life. I just always say, Mary has chosen the better part. Calm down. It will not be taken from her. Go to Jesus. He will help you. During the Mass, the Alleluia response really today aligned with this story. It was this: seek the Lord while he may be found, call him while he is near. We can't skip Mass and adoration because we're busy. So I want to do that today. As I'm recording this podcast, I have Mass starting in an hour and a half. I have a list of maybe 5 things I need to do, and I'm stopping. I need to stop at 5:00 p.m. and I'm going to go to 5:30 Mass today, no matter what. I have learned that if Mary is choosing the better part, I have to choose the better part, which is to be at the feet of Jesus and fall in love with the Eucharist, which is going to help me with everything. It'll actually make me more time. So I've had to learn that. And sometimes I fail. Believe me, I do fail. But I'm getting it more and more as I grow. And it's working out a little bit better. And I know that if I keep the sacraments near and dear to my heart and on my schedule, it seems like my life is just better and I'm not as anxious or as worried. A little less Martha and a little more Mary. He is near to us right now in the sacraments. And what I want to ask you is, are we listening? And this is going to help our belief, because during our weight loss struggles, we can accidentally fill the shoes of poor Martha, trying all the different things that seem to come at us right now on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, this and that, and this magic pill and that magic shot. And sometimes we just want to do the easiest thing, but Jesus is letting us know that the peace that you're looking for is not in all that. It really can only be attained by assuming the posture of Mary and to have the disposition to receive him, and he will let you know what you need to do. So Mary has placed her heart and mind in this disposition to receive Jesus. And this chapter attempts to answer this question: do you believe? Are we willing to delay our self-will of busyness, anxiety, and worry, and put Jesus first in prayer so that he can fill us with heavenly fuel for this spiritual fasting journey? And that is the question. This is the essence of what I call delay and pray. This is the way of spiritual fasting that will help you be like Mary at any time of the year. I know I'm too busy, and I look around the world and I think we're all too busy, and I think we need to just slow down. Delaying and praying helps create a better plan for a lovely and peaceful, Mary-like journey to fitness in body and soul. This plan starts by shifting our mindset into the delay and pray way of thinking. Next, I want to share with you a very personal story to show you how fasting broke through a desperate situation in my life a really long time ago. And I want to invite you to examine the beliefs shaping your own health habits. So this happened a long time ago, and it's in the book. The whole story is there. It's recounted, and you may know it if you've known me a long time. It's about my mom. And it was the absolute desperation act, the why that made me cry, that led me to fasting in the first place. Back in the fall of 2020, if you remember, we had the pandemic and we were about 6 months into it. And my 91-year-old mother, who's just so funny and loving and my best friend in many ways, well, she was on the second floor in a retirement home and she was locked away from all of us. It was 6 months in and we tried everything to stay connected. They wouldn't let us in. She couldn't come out. Occasional visits later in the lobby happened, but she was lonely. And we did window visits underneath her window, phone calls. We dropped off meals. We called her all the time, tried to connect. But the isolation really wore her down. And I just remember, I recall in the book that there was one moment that she was sobbing and we were on the cell phone and I set the phone on my heart and I just started crying. And I was like, what am I going to do for this woman who literally lives a few miles away and I cannot rescue her? I was so desperate at that time to help her that I seriously considered putting a ladder in my car and just climbing up to her second story window, asking her to open the window and I would cut the screen and get in there. Oh, I could just cry because I remember that. Woo, that's how helpless I felt. So instead of grabbing that ladder, I dropped to my knees in anguish out of love for this woman in so much distress. I had never heard her like that in my life. And there was nothing on earth I could do. And it was terrible. And that's when I heard God clearly call me. You have to fast and you have to pray. That is what you have to do. Not diet. That's not a fast. It was a spiritual fast. It wasn't for me, but it was for my mom. And I knew the only way I could actually fast for a long period of time was to stop the insulin response, which was created from sugar, flour, and alcohol. So I just stopped consuming those things. And then it was easy for me to fast. So it was the first time in 20 years of dieting and trying everything under the sun that I finally had a spiritual reason to actually stop consuming that type of food. And it worked. Within 3 weeks of real grace-filled spiritual fasting, I mean, just fraught with prayer, a lot of mass, a lot of Eucharist, a lot of adoration, and just not consuming sugar, flour, and alcohol every day, the door finally opened. I mean, literally, my sisters and I were allowed inside that home to care for her 24/7. And a few months later, it was so sweet. We were all by her side, and she passed peacefully in the night in January of 2021. My sister by her side. It was a true miracle. So that was the beginning of Delay and Pray. So I sit here and I'm kind of amazed at how I can still cry over this, but it was awful. Since then, I have met so many people who are in the same spot with their parents. And we just have to fast and we just have to have that spiritual purpose. And so this is the kind of why that makes you cry that you're going to need to intrinsically motivate you to delay the sugar and the flour and the alcohol, because it has to be so close to your heart that you'll do it. And I go into the reasoning of that in my program and in the book a little bit too, for sure. So I just want to let you know that it's the belief in God. This was the fuel. I knew he would do it. I knew he would. I just had to offer him a sacrifice. And instead of drinking more wine and eating more cookies because I was feeling so bad about the whole situation, I delayed it for her, and it happened. We got in. We didn't win that miracle through hard work at all. We didn't storm the facility. We didn't go to the media. We just prayed, we fasted, and we believed that God would let us in, and he did. Belief was the engine that made fasting possible. I had tried and failed at dieting for years because the belief behind the food hadn't changed. It was really just me-centric, right? I hadn't examined my attachments either. Like, what did I believe about the sugar and the flour and the alcohol? What did I believe about those things? I surely didn't bring God or the supernatural realm into that weight struggle, except prayers of desperation, but they were really for myself. I really wasn't thinking of someone else. So I didn't realize it then, but food was my God. It was my idol, my go-to in times of trouble. And I didn't even know it. I didn't realize it was this false sense of comfort. And guess what? It wasn't helping. So this thinking affected my worth. It limited my whole life, even my dreams. I felt pretty bad about myself. And so that's what was limiting my dreams. So my question to you is, what are you believing about the food, about your worth, about your limitations? You are capable of shifting all of them if they do not serve you. And I can show you how to do that. Beliefs are simply thoughts we've thought so many times that they've become part of us. Things like, I always struggle with my weight. It's always the same thing. Friday nights are for drinking. I'll never get this right. What would life be without baking bread? I mean, these are all thoughts that sometimes we know that we're thinking, but sometimes they're unconscious. And so we have to figure this all out. We have to get them up to the surface. We have to write them down. We have to prosecute them and figure out what is going on with these thoughts that are creating emotions, which create our actions. There is a better way than just letting these thoughts run our lives. You can start rehearsing new thoughts intertwined with scripture. That is something we can do, and we'll talk about that in the next chapter. And that's how transformation actually starts, through belief that God is in everything and that together you can do anything. Like Mary, you can choose the better part by staying at the feet of Jesus and figuring out your attachments to sugar, flour, and alcohol. So I want to tell you one more story that's in the book, and it's about how my belief really got tested, and that was alcohol on Friday nights. So in the Delay and Pray program, we fast off of sugar, flour, and alcohol and meat, especially on Wednesdays and Fridays, because these are the days that the ancient church has always fasted spiritually. The Blessed Mother also asks us to fast on these days. Wednesdays were doable for me, but Fridays, now those were harder, especially end of the week drinks or meeting for happy hour. And let me tell you, friends, I live on a lake. Okay, so you get on a boat on a Friday night after working so hard all week. I just had this little neural pathway and this habit of having a couple drinks, and it was so hard to give up. This was the one night of the week where the attachment to alcohol was the hardest to break. And it wasn't the quantity. I only desired a couple drinks. That wasn't a problem. It just was the identity, I think. It was just identifying Friday nights with alcohol I had just built a belief out of it. Like Friday nights are for fun, and fun means alcohol. So even as I fasted from sugar and flour, I wanted to hold on to the wine or the hard seltzer. I justified, I rationalized, I negotiated with myself every week until I sat in adoration week after week after I failed. And Jesus made it clear, you have an idol here. This attachment had become something I was holding on to more tightly than him. And it took me a while to give that up to him. So don't feel guilty that it's going to take you a while and you're going to fail until you figure it out, because you and God can do it. So I just started to pray differently. Lord, I desire you more than food and alcohol. Help my desire to be towards you. I believe you can help me give up alcohol on Fridays, help my unbelief. So I would just say this all the time in that scriptural, I believe, help my unbelief. And week after week, I did fail. Like I said, I tried again. I got coached. I rewrote my beliefs. Friday nights for praying and delaying. I'm a woman who fasts for others. For God, all things are possible. I would just start with my thoughts and repeat those over and over again until I believed that. Eventually, the urge lessened. And now most Friday nights are a redemptive space, a sacred time of intercession for others. And guess what? They are actually fun in a different way, in a deeper, more meaningful way. Sometimes the Friday nights itself are challenging, but the Saturday mornings are amazing. When you actually go through with a fast that you have set out to do and you have temptations and you don't give in, you have urges, but you don't give in to those urges. And you go to bed and you wake up on Saturday morning and it's a delight. I don't know. There are no words. It's so beautiful. It's so wonderful that you followed through for Jesus. And it just brings you into a deeper relationship with him. So my Fridays, most of them, are dedicated to the body of Christ for the reparation of the sins of the world. Who knew a few less drinks on a Friday night could change the world? But they can. They can. We can all be David in the story of David and Goliath, right? This is the essence of spiritual fasting. Now, not every Friday do I give up alcohol. There are some Fridays that are really special, and there could be, engagement parties. There could be just really special celebrations, and I will have a glass of wine with everyone. It is not a problem. I normally don't eat the meat, but that's the one thing I'll have. I normally won't eat the sugar or even the flour, but I'll have a glass of wine occasionally. But for most Fridays, 99%, those are for fasting for others. And my fasting purpose on Fridays is mostly for priests in purgatory and people who, of course, struggle with alcohol. That's who I fast for. So we'll never know what happens with that, what the Lord is doing with that offering until we get to heaven, won't we? So it'll be amazing. The spiritual fasting will show you your attachments, and some of them are palpable, and that's okay. You can be like, oh, wow, I didn't realize I was so attached to this. And then delay and pray will give you the tools. The tools would be a rule of life that we're going to do, like an eat, fast, feast rule of life. It just makes things more simple. Intermittent fasting, when you're going to eat, how you're going to eat, what you're going to eat, the quantity you're going to eat. You kind of look at all that and see where you're getting into gluttony and sloth. Lots of great information. You need a protocol, you need coaching, you need grace from the sacraments, community, all of this. And then you get a nicely reordered life of virtue. So for me, the breakthrough really didn't come by working harder. It came from believing deeper in a God who died for me and my sins, and he was willing to take them if I was willing to give them to him. We hold on to them sometimes. We just don't want to give them away. And we can go to the confessional. We can say, this is what I did. I drank these drinks. I didn't want to, and I drank them. And so then you leave and you say, I'm not going to drink them again. And then you do. And then you're like, oh, shoot. And you go back. Okay, so it's just getting into these habits. And there's biology, there's neurology, there's theology involved in all of it. And once you get it all down, and once you fail a few times, you will be successful. So peace for me came from allowing God to really reshape the very beliefs that were holding me hostage. And that was, Friday nights are for drinking. Friday nights are for fun. Now my fun is just oriented differently. And my husband and I work out on Friday nights. I have a whole podcast on it that's different, but we do so much more on Friday nights, and we really have a good time together, but without alcohol. And so I hope you like that part of the book. And even if you don't drink, maybe there's some idol, some attachment that you have that you could relate there. Now, I have a really awesome rock star client. Her name is Jackie, and she's at the end of this chapter, her story. And I'll just give you a tiny bit of the synopsis because she's so sweet. I just love her so much. She's a Catholic who had been away from the church for 25 years, and she was 30 pounds overweight. I interview her on my podcast, and she discovered my podcast and felt instantly drawn to the concept of spiritual fasting. She thought it was going to be great. She'd never really heard of it. She's super smart, a PhD statistician. She appreciated the structure of the program and she began trying it on her own. So, to her surprise, her prayer life deepened quickly and she soon joined the Delay and Pray program. During Lent, her spiritual journey unexpectedly impacted her husband, who was a former Baptist involved in New Age practices. And after reading a Stations of the Cross booklet that Jackie had left out, he built wooden Stations of the Cross on their 4-acre property. Eventually, he began attending Mass with her. And guess what? He became Catholic. Jackie had originally prayed for 28 miracles, and 26 have already come true. One unanticipated miracle occurred during a hurricane. While trees were uprooted across their land, the Stations of the Cross remained untouched. So that is so beautiful. Though she's lost 30 pounds, Jackie says the real transformation has been emotional and spiritual. Relationships she thought were lost have been restored, and she recently reunited with several family members at a warm, healing reunion. She said spiritual fasting has brought more than weight loss. It has brought her back to her faith, her family, and miracles. So, friend, if you're holding on to a belief that's keeping you stuck, bring it into the light. Take it to adoration. Speak it aloud. Shift it. Then ask Jesus to just help you believe in something new. Start simple, like I am a person who delays sugar, flour, and alcohol for miracles. I used to say that all the time. I don't drink alcohol on Fridays. I would repeat that starting on Tuesday. I don't drink alcohol on Fridays. I don't drink alcohol on Fridays. I don't drink alcohol on Fridays. I would just say that over and over until I believed it. It was just amazing. Other things you can say are spiritual fasting helps me. God is transforming me even through this. That's a really great thought. These are just thoughts that you almost like try on and you just keep repeating them. And it's even best if they're scriptural, if you can find scriptural thoughts. Anything is possible with God. That's Matthew 19:26. Just all those great scriptures that you can pray over your life. They're living and active and even more powerful than a two-edged sword. Believing harder than you work will take you places willpower never could take you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you will start believing harder than you work. I hope you enjoy this chapter. If this episode blessed you, please share it with a friend. And remember, the miracle you're praying for might be waiting on the other side of your next fast. It might just be right there. So until next time, delay and pray and let belief lead the way. Take care. God bless. If you are interested in learning more about spiritual fasting and permanent weight loss, then come join my course, Delay and Pray, a 12-week guided course for weight loss through spiritual fasting. You won't go through it alone either. I will be there to coach you every step of the way. This is a group coaching program where you are part of an amazing community of like-minded Catholics who have the same goal as you, to bring about miracles while losing that weight permanently through spiritual fasting. Your purchase includes an online course detailing what spiritual fasting is, how to do it, and all the tools you need to get you the results you're longing for. Head over to my website right now at thecatholicfastingcoach.com and get the details on how to join. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and LinkedIn to always get the latest daily information to help you keep fasting, my friends. Can't wait to see you in there. May God bless you and keep you always.